Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Welcome everybody to the Spiritual Rockstar Podcast show. We've got an amazing guest. Oh my God. Mariangela is absolutely an amazing empath. She is so sensitive in a beautiful way and powerful in a beautiful way. And she will absolutely help you with turning your life around and really honoring who you are, you know, as a woman or just as a being, if you're not a woman, but like just as an infinite being, as a sensitive being, as an empath. All those things, those are all the things she's been working with for decades and helping people with. And you're definitely going to gain so much from this time together with her, because just her energy alone is priceless. So you're going to really enjoy this show today. So Mariangela, I'm just so grateful to have you here today.
Thanks, Daniel. So happy to be here with you.
All right. Yeah, it's always such a delight. So Mariangela Parodi is an alchemist, transformational, medical, intuitive healer, naturopath, wellness leader, teacher, spiritual coach, angelic, and ascended master, interdimensional shamanic channel. It reminds me of my own. I got this big list of stuff, but it's awesome. So number one, international best-selling author of The Mystic Woman's Compass. For 30 years, she has practiced in the fields of energy medicine, biomedical science, naturopathy, holistic health, and meditation. Mariangela is the founder of the Alkymia Energie Healing, TM, a spiritual system that eliminates limiting beliefs, removes blocks, and reprograms the mindset, creating connection, integration, and transformation, which awakens sacred power and destiny. Using her sacred alchemy process to bridge the gaps to move clients through their challenges and accelerate them onto their next level of joy-filled passion, purpose, and prosperity. She guides healers to fully express their sacred power, boldly live to their highest potential, use their soul gifts to create deep transformation in the world, and be rewarded with sustainable income. So grateful for that. And so Mariangela, you know, I so want to just start with, you know, that you've had a book come out recently. So yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
I have.
Yeah. Now remind me, this is I thought it was your first book. Is that true or no?
No, it's my second book.
Second book. Okay. I wanted to say like your first. I don't know why I'm getting that vibe on it, but it almost feels like you're like it feels really powerful, like a powerful new thing that's unfolded. So anyway, sorry about that. I didn't know. So let's talk about that. Because I did mention your other book as well, didn't I? No, I didn't. We need to get that in your bio, maybe. Okay. So tell me about let's talk about the Mystic Woman's Compass. Like, tell us about the impetus for writing the book and what it's about.
So here's my book, The Mystic Woman's Compass. Yes, here it is.
Beautiful. So that's a beautiful glossy cover.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes. So the crux of it was that in my mid-30s, I had my first son. He was very allergic to everything. He came out screaming, kept screaming. He got really severe eczema. Through my breast milk, he was reacting to everything I was eating. Basically, by the time he was 12 months old, all he could have was pears and rice because he reacted to everything. So I was, lost so much weight because I was trying to reduce all the foods that he was allergic to or sensitive to, and I couldn't work out what the problem was. And at that point, I was studying naturopathy. So I'd moved out of my biomedical science into naturopathy. So I was trying to work out what herbs can I use on him, what remedies I could use, homeopathy, different flower essences. And he couldn't basically take anything. He was so sensitive. So that's where I was starting to tap into my intuition a lot more. I was very systematic in working out, okay, where is this coming from? It was like he was my schooling, I had to really zone into what is going on? Why is he so sensitive? Why is he reacting? What can I clear? So I was journaling all of this. I was journaling what I tried, what worked. Clearing past lives was a really major component of him, me picking up that he had some really bad reactions through toxic wheat, poisoned wheat, and a lot of that was affecting his skin. Once I cleared that, his skin improved. He had bladder issues because of all the toxins and inflammation in his body. So I was journaling all this. A lot of the clients coming to me had allergies, had sensitivities, all their children were allergic to things. So I thought, oh, this book could really help somebody. But it took me a while to write up my notes as a diary into a book format, and I eventually got that out, Alkymia's Child. But it was basically my story and how I could help other children that were empaths and psychic kids that were attracting spirits into the house that were creating a lot of stress and terror in their bodies, making them more inflamed, making them more allergic. So then a lot of people were coming after that book. How did you do that? What were your steps? And so this is my book now, Mystic Woman's Compass. Still has a lot of my stories in it, but a lot of processes, strategies, internal questions that can trace back where there might be some links to ancestral issues or past life issues. But it's a book about empowerment and guiding your way so that when people are stuck, when they're finding a roadblock, they can just open the book at any chapter and find some guidance on their own sensitivities, or especially empaths attracting narcissists, bullies into the life boundary issues, and eventually how to step into their power and step into their gifts and their multi-gifts, not just being a healer, but activating all the 7 gifts of the spiritual teacher, the seer, the speaker, the inspired, empowered speaker, and also about the leader and the shamanic abilities. So it takes people through all of the steps from the journey of just awakening through into their growth, and then how they can fully step into all of their potential. So I have a lot of images in there about my family and the things I went through. So it's very, very personal. The people that have read it so far have just loved it, and have gained so much into it because I've given so much of myself and embedded healing through the process. So my first book was like the starting point, my foundation for this one. And it's given me a lot, because at that time, my first book, I didn't believe I was a writer. I was a migrant child. I came to Australia. My parents left Chile when I was 5 through the political uprisings and all of the dictatorship. And my father had left Italy when he was a young boy because of the dictatorship. So I have this theme of leaving countries and it's not safe. And all of that, I know, affected me. At the time, I didn't know that what was happening, but that was what my son was also carrying, that life isn't safe. Someone will kill you. You will have things taken from you. You will disappear. So it was embedded through my grandfather, my father, then passed on to me, and then passed on to my son. And so when I came to Australia, I couldn't speak English. I felt really out of my depth culturally. I had nobody, but, migrants, just escaping back in that time. They didn't have that much support like they do now with refugees. So I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe my worth. My father then changed because life was such a struggle to start in a new country. Even though they could speak English, it was book English, not Australian. So both my parents couldn't really find jobs in their fields to start with. My mum was a philosophy teacher in high school, so she never was able to find a job in that career again. So she ended up sewing clothes in a factory for a while before she ended up working just in a shop. So a lot of that would have, I know, affected her heart, her cells, and she ended up getting breast cancer because she wasn't a fulfilled woman. So my dad changed. He became very stressed, very protective. So even though he left the regime, his hook on all of us became even more tight. My mother, my brother, and myself, my grandfather, he just wanted to protect us even more. So it became stifling. He became so controlling. You know, he became the people we were leaving. He would, you know, yell at me, try and control me. So as a 5-year-old, I was petrified of my father. I would hide behind the chair. I didn't know what mood he would be in. So that set up my anxiety. I'd feel sick coming home from school. I didn't know what mood he would be in, because life was so difficult here. You know, it wasn't what he thought. They escaped to find peace, but then at the same time, there were so many other issues that came up. It wasn't just about this peaceful life. It was, how can I earn a living? You know, people aren't respecting him for his experience. He worked as a chemist in the aeronautical industry, so testing for metals. So he was in charge of that department in the aviation industry, but not paid for that role. He was paid more as an unskilled worker. So the struggles of finding life in Australia, the dream, the promised land, wasn't exactly what they experienced. So I felt all of that. I didn't know, as an empath, I was sucking up all of their stress, all of their disappointments, all of their grief, which, you know, I became depressed. I was anxious. I remember even at, 8 or 9 years old, I couldn't get out of bed. I was exhausted. I didn't know what was wrong with me. Getting up out of bed after an hour, I just wanted to go back to bed. I didn't know. It felt like chronic fatigue. We have a name for that now. But at that time, I was so debilitated because I had no boundaries. I am a water sign. I absorbed everybody. I didn't know I was a little healer taking on everybody else's problems. So this kept me really drained. So because as I grew up, I understood more about boundaries, learning about searching. So because of this, what is wrong with me? I had a very inquisitive mind. How can I search for solutions? So I think that, initiated part of my journey. How do I have energy? Why am I so depressed? Why does, just even the thought of my father just make me so, I just crumbled, in the thought of him, because he always threatened us with the belt. Now, for me, even though he never used it, I could feel him using it. I could feel that. In his mind, he was already getting it out, and I already sensed that. So because I had no boundaries, it really was traumatizing. So I was waking up at night with all these awful dreams of running away and being chased. Life wasn't safe. And, spirits would come to me, and I was really frightened all of the time. So in the day, in the night, there was no safe place. And I remember and I would see spirits, and I would wake up in the night just seeing ghosts, carrying candles, and I just didn't know what to do with this. So I think part of that, coming to Australia, the trauma was part of this awakening to bring in more of myself, but it was very overwhelming. I didn't know how to control that ability. I did see fairies too, so that was nice. That was the nice part of my gift. But at the time, it just felt like it was just way too much. It was just, and I'm just thinking back to my son now. He was also waking up with a lot of nightmares. He was also attracting spirits. When I was older, having him in this house, I would have to clear all the spirits. He brought in all these little children playing in the hallway. So he was a bit of a magnet. So that helped me to reflect back what was happening to me as a young child, bringing healing to those spirits that hadn't crossed over, that were still sort of walking around in the in-between worlds. So my book was about helping me understand myself, helping my son. But in that, I was able to help a lot of other people understand their abilities. And I basically came to work out that everyone that came to me with allergies and sensitivities was also very gifted, their sensitivity to the world. They had, once I worked through their health issues, allergies, eczema, asthma, any inflammatory condition, they were then open to realizing I've always had intuition. I've had gut feelings. I was scared as a child too. So it made me realize there was a pathway to people that had health conditions, was really covering up more of their psychic abilities, their healing abilities. So this book is part of that journey for them to uncover, okay, what is my fear? What was really holding me back? What was the trauma that was still held in the heart that made me feel unworthy? Or, you know, this childhood attack that I experienced, a lot of my clients, I've realized, had that trauma, that there was something still frozen in them that kept them trapped in the past because they didn't feel that they had enough to give. They had low self-esteem. Especially my dad, he was very perfectionistic. He's very critical, and I could never meet the standard that he was expecting of me. He was, you know, he was like Leonardo da Vinci. He was so gifted both in the sciences and in art, you know, magnificent paintings. And this, I could never meet that. So I always felt, how could I ever meet? They were not my gifts, you know. So he was pushing me to go into science. He wanted me to learn. He wanted me to be a doctor, basically. You know, you come to this country, have a different life, you've got to be a doctor. You know, I don't want to be a doctor. I realized I met somebody who was a naturopath, and I thought, wow, that's something, I'd love to do that. Just the idea of having herbs, helping people before they got sick. And no, I couldn't be that. I had to follow the rules because I was a good girl. I was a good Chilean Italian girl that followed rules. Otherwise, the belt would come out. So I had to find my way, and I chose biomedical science. And I loved all that. I loved learning about the body and the cells and understanding, just the whole makeup of the body. I ended up working in pathology and looking at cells, looking at cancer cells. So I spent 10 years in that area, diagnosing, you know, infections and illnesses, and going out to find needle biopsies for breast cancer and different tumours in the body under CAT scan. And I just thought, I even though this is interesting and I'm helping, I just really felt that there was something more for me. And I got RSI by being at the microscope for so long, and I just knew that I had to get out. I had to change careers, but I didn't want to. My heart said you have to go, and my mind was saying, no, you have to have security. You know, this is what you've studied for. You know, I was very loyal. You know, this is the career. This is when you had one career. You know, all these 10 different careers now. I was very committed and dedicated, but my arm, I couldn't lift my arm. I couldn't wash my hair. I had to have my arm in a sling because I couldn't carry the weight of my arm. So I was searching again, you know, what will help my arm? I had, you know, tried different things, different remedies, acupuncture. And then a friend said, oh, you should try Reiki. Reiki might be good for your arm. And I just felt that. I felt the heat. I thought, wow, this is amazing. So off I go. I learnt Reiki. I realised I always had healing abilities. My dad had healing abilities. When he used to cut up my food, the utensils, the knife and fork, were burning with heat after he'd given them to me. I thought, what is this? He didn't know he had that in him. He could have helped my mother. He could have helped all of us. I got my gifts from him, but we never had that conversation. He never opened up to me about what his knowledge, which is, you know, I can tune into him now. I can talk to him now that he's passed. But, you know, when we were alive, that was not something, you know, probably he was trying to keep me safe. You know, when I'm older, Mariangela, I will teach you things. When you're older, Mariangela. But, you know, that never came. That never came. Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I changed careers. I chose to do naturopathy because I didn't want to stay there. My arm was not healing. I learned Reiki. I thought, wow, I could heal the world. Skill healer. You know, when you learn a skill, you think, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. But no, I realized I'm healing everybody. That was my awareness. I was on all the time. I never had an off button. And I had a great teacher that made me realize I was healing spirits like she was when she first started, like all of us probably were when, when we're out of control with our gifts, and that it would have no rest. This is why I was anxious.
I can do it all. I got this thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Some people call that well, guys maybe more so, but some people call it a Jesus phase. I'm like, Jesus, I'm the one. I'm gonna bring it all forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. People go through different phases. Wow. So we've heard. I think people can just kind of relate or connect with certain different aspects of your story. Everything you were sharing, like wow, okay, I relate to that. So because you shared a number of different things, and again, if most of the people that are listening are sensitive, empathic type of people. So definitely that part, I'm sure totally resonates for most everybody, and at some level. And I do know, like one of the things you said that resonated for me was this not measuring up thing. I think without realizing it as a kid, it was a coping mechanism, but I think it was also my way of showing something else in life. But my mom, was a huge perfectionist and skipped a grade in school, and she just had like the queen bee energy in the family because of her intellect, right? So it's just like, oh, she's the queen, nobody measures up, and my mom always denies this, but I swear to God, somebody, and it's just the way I experienced it probably, but I always felt like we were all told our IQ scores, and of course my mom had the highest, and so like when I found out I had the lowest IQ score in the family, I'm like, yeah, I'm the idiot of the family. So it's like, well, back then IQ was way more valuable than it is now. It was like, yeah, your IQ, that's what you're capable of then, right? There's some ideas like that back then. And so I'm like, well, I'm only so capable, I guess. And, like those ideas. And so I would do well at school, and I would purposefully, probably without realizing it, try not to do well so I could show that it doesn't matter as much as people make it all out to be, right? So I'm like, yeah, that's okay. I can. And my parents actually weren't pushers. They didn't like say, you better get good grades, or they accepted me. They didn't push it. But there was always this thing like, and I'm not saying my mom put it on us, but it's an energy going on like, your mom's the one, she's got the towering intellect, and I can't possibly measure up, and we could never approach what she could do at school anyway. So why bother? And it felt it's like an established competition. Like why? Like it shouldn't even exist. And yet both me and my sister felt that. Like we both have had that. And like with my sister, she's very like me, like very empathic, even more so, I would say, but very much more so, but even more than me, which is very, very sensitive. So, and she's had mental health problems, most of her life, and she's on all these meds and everything. And so when you're talking about like, yeah, like I've always known, like if she could open to what she could do with those gifts, I mean, she would be so amazing, so powerful with that, right? She does help people anyway, but like the capacity and whatnot. But the thing is, if someone in the family or someone knew, or we knew to take her to somebody that could help with that aspect early on, maybe even she could get that now, but I don't know. So, but yeah, like she's so far along, she's on like, a lot of medications. I'll just say that. I don't want to put everything private out there, but but like it's a lot. And so I know that.
No, I think that's excellent to share, because there are a lot of people that can't cope with those, the bombardment of the energies that they sense. And so medication is often the way to go, because that's the logical step. You go to the doctor, I'm not feeling well, and they just naturally medicate. I think, half the population is medicated. So yeah. They don't know that there's another option, or they're not willing to they want the quick fix. And, this pathway is not an overnight, solution.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So
I was just thinking when you said that about school, I was at school, the school I went to, primary school, they did like a test, an assessment to see what school you go to in high school. I didn't know I was then sent to a really high academic school. Fort Street High School at that time was experimental in, you know, making all the like really top kids go there. I qualified. I didn't know, I just got to the school. So I felt really stupid at that school. These kids, like my dad, they're all doctors, lawyers, economists. And I'm like you, my intelligence, I know I'm intelligent, but my intelligence was more emotional. You know, that was my superpower more than just the grades, where I felt I wasn't measuring up like you were as well. But it's interesting because we would have been absorbing a lot of what the kids were feeling. I don't feel right. I feel stupid. You know, it's just a collective energy we would have been picking up because of our sensitivity, which would have added to that feeling of, I don't measure up. These people are really, you know, brilliant. You know, I don't compare. It's because, you know, you want to be the same. But if you as a child, you know you're different. You know you just know it.
Right.
That's the gut feeling. You just know it. They're in the groups. I feel out of the group. You know, it's part of the wounding, I suppose, or the scar that we carry as empaths, because we do feel different and we're always looking for a place to belong. So I'm sorry about that for your sister, that hopefully the medication is making it easier for her. And there are a lot of people that, I do have clients that are on medication that they still need some of that, and they can be supported by both. And having my biomedical background, you know, I'm not sort of isolating either or. Working together is fine as well, you know, finding your way.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Yeah. Definitely. And, you know, and I'm an advocate for, like, let's try everything else first if possible. You know, but once you get on them, then it's a whole nother life that's been taken on. That's not easy to change. Not super easy to change anyway. So it's possible. Everything's possible. But yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. Like, this whole sensitivity and being different. Like, so many people listening, I know, identify with that. Like, yeah, I totally felt that way. Like, I was like, get me out of here, you know, like, just get me out of high school, get me out of school, and it's all stupid anyway. It's all stupid. And so I just couldn't wait to, you know, grow up and do whatever the heck I was really meant to do. And that was always like in the back of my mind somewhere all the time. I was like, this is just a waste of time. Like, let's get on with it, you know? Like,
totally. I think what we were both feeling was we were escaping. Our soul was escaping because we didn't want to be here. We didn't want to be, well, I didn't want to be in my house. That was threatening. I didn't want to be at school. I didn't fit in. You know, at night, you know, you had these horrible nightmares, you know, so the soul just naturally leaves the body partially because it's not happy in the body. So that also adds to the problems of picking up the collective fear and collective anxiety and depression, and adding to life is awful. And so I think this is why most people are, you know, wanting the quick fix or escaping to, you know, a holiday or stimulants or drugs or something, just because life feels so unbearable in the present. And I think that's what I teach, is coming back into the present, that it is safe. It is the best place for us. We're meant to be in our body, in our house, our body tissue, so that we can find our way to connect. And I think most of us, well, I know I was for many decades, disconnected from the earth. I had a natural lean to, you know, finding trees, and I didn't realize why I felt better in the forest or in the bush. And I know now that I was meant to do that and work with the land and bring up the earth energy so that I can connect to Mother Earth, and that's where I belong. And being with nature, you know, I felt there wasn't any judgment. There was no comparison. I felt peaceful. My nervous system was starting to recalibrate. And now that I live in Tasmania, and it's a very green island at the bottom of Australia, I can feel like my nervous system feels so much better. And I live in a wooden house. I was reflecting back, thinking I always wanted to live in a modern house, but I think living in concrete or working in concrete just would wreck my biorhythm, my meridians. There's something about the density of that concrete, and so many people live in those buildings and high rises and flats, and I think they are so disconnected from their environment. So just getting out in nature and even planting a plant, having some, pot plants in their house. But I think the main thing is the disconnection. I don't feel good, I'm going to leave. And the soul just leaves, and it just creates so many problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was very depressed and anxious and seeing psychiatrists. And first one I saw, I said, I could blow things up with my mind. I can move objects. I can do all this stuff. And, very interesting. Literally, it's one of those kind of psychiatry. Very interesting. Okay. And then all of a sudden I'm getting, what was it? I think it was bipolar with delusions of grandeur or something like that. It was the part of the diagnosis. So you learn early on, which the minute you start talking about that stuff that isn't accepted, I'm not supposed to talk about that stuff. That's what they consider crazy town. Okay, so put that away. Never talked about that to those type of people ever again. The diagnosis got downgraded that way.
Yeah.
Hey, now you can move forward. All right, we think you're not so crazy anymore. All right, we're making progress now. Rather than looking at the reality that maybe there's something they have no concept of those things being real, especially back then. Like, more people are open to that stuff, I would think, nowadays than back then. Like that could even be a potential, like, in somebody. But yeah, I mean, it's no concept for that. And this is powerful for me, even personally, talking to you about this subject today. I'm like, that's what gets me emotional, why I've trained a lot of people like you have, right, to tune into their gifts and to utilize those gifts. Because it's like, listen, you're only crazy in the best way possible. I mean,
you're gifted. You're a genius.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A deficit, and you're defective or whatever. You don't fit in. And because we're typically truth tellers too, right? We're like, wait a minute, this is the reality of what's really going on, and everybody's like, screw that reality, get the hell out of my way.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me, speaking up and being shut down, because I was the truth teller. And so it's taken me a long time to master my voice and speak up. And it felt life-threatening, after a while, being shut down so many times that, when you do speak, you're going to be attacked again. So for me to speak with you, but that's been decades of being a teacher as well, and hosting my own, interviews and running courses and classes, that it's helped me to develop my skill my way so that, it feels safe. But I think what you were talking about, I felt really drawn to creativity, is what you were saying, that when people are disconnected, I found that was my healing, is going into singing and dancing and gardening and doing something with your hands. That's something that helps the soul come back into the body and reignite that passion and normality, and like it feels okay. I just know that when I started singing, so I could not sing. I was really off key, and I remember I was in my bedroom and I had the headphones on with the walkie-talkie, the Walkman. I must have been listening to ABBA with my microphone on the bed, and I was singing, and my dad came in because he thought something was wrong. So I was told at school, you can't sing, you're not in the choir. And that really hurt me and really broke my heart, because I thought, I love singing, but I can't sing. So it was in my head, I can't sing. And I remember seeing this show from this woman. She said, everyone can sing, everyone can be taught to sing. So I found a teacher, and she had a choir for all the women that were told they couldn't sing. And so she was helping us express, and that was my therapy. That was my healing. That helped me to come back into my body. That helped to really shift my depression, my anxiety, because working with sound just changed just the frequency of everything I absorbed. I was bringing back the harmony, the resonance of the sound, especially singing with other women, and the healing that they came. So it wasn't just songs as such. We did a lot of toning. She was a phenomenal woman, and yeah, she helped me to inspire me to work with sound, sound as healing as well. So I now tone with my clients with the singing bowl or with the drum, just to help get out of my way and channel the frequency that will heal, something that's really stagnant in the body. And I just felt when we went to an Stedford, and we were our only person in that, and the only group in our category of the open group, and we sang Kumbaya in a cappella, and we got an standing ovation. It was just fantastic. I thought, oh my God, I could be a singer. I had that moment again. But that was my high. I just thought, this is fantastic. So I just did singing, and I'm in a choir now. It's an Om choir. We sing mantras. So I've evolved from gospel and jazz and normal, just pop songs into, more mantras and sacred music. And that feels like, I just feel the vibrations when I sing that, and it just keeps me topped up and elevated. When, life still happens, there's always challenges. We're always going to experience things and difficulties. And I just find singing is a great way for me. It's really helped me as a tool to raise me up.
Oh yeah, totally. I love that whole, like, you're being told you can't do it. Like, I remember my daughter was considered tone deaf, as a singer. And then by the time she got to senior year, like, it makes me emotional even thinking about it. But like, she's like on the stage, like as a solo on her choir. And it's it's a good sized high school. And she was amazing. She was really, really good. I mean, she's not like the top singer in the school or anything, but she's really good now. And
fantastic.
It was just dedication. It was focus. It was, like her, she got teaching. She got taught privately for a while too. And she applied herself. So she was never told you're not very good, but she didn't have to overcome that part of it. But there was the idea was there. Well, I'm sure she could feel that. And it's like, but she still rose above it. And so our point is like, I think one of the threads we're running into today is like, not to give in to what other people are saying about you, overall from childhood and everything. And that's partly how you help people too. Sounds like your process is, let's awaken and heal, right? If you have a linear process, it'd be something like, we're awakened and healing. Then it's like, let's really embrace your gifts now that we've uncovered, who you really are. And then let's let it shine, baby, to the highest level. That's kind of the process. So when people are in that awakening healing phase, what are some of the things, like, people just even listening today, like, I know it's all in the book, but what are some things that people can do to start to shift, to start to clear those old beliefs or energies up inside of them that are kind of almost like attached themselves to them, right? How can they start clearing that up? Like, any tips, they could get them started?
The first one always comes to mind is cutting the cords. I'm a big one with that. So we're always energetically connected to people, good and bad, as in, we're healers, we're always connected. So we want to sever the negative cords that are still hooking us into healing people or connecting to their energy. So otherwise we get so influenced by what other people, or their own health issues or their mind. So using scissors or a sword, imagining severing that from the front to the length of the body, above your head, behind your body, underneath your feet, doing that every day. It's keeping you like energetically clear. It's like energetic hygiene. You need to, whether it's the end of the day you do it, well, I do it at least twice a day, if not more, especially in between clients, so that I've done what I need to do, but now it's disconnected. We're not sort of walking together hand in hand in our trauma. So I think cutting the cords is a really useful technique.
Oh, that's so important. Like, I've had experiences like you mentioned earlier with being empathic, like, so some of them recently that I remember is like how you have to do it, even if it's not someone you're directly connected with, like that day. My sister, was having like some kind of an experience where she was feeling pain from her back to her heart. And she had that, and then within the 2 days or something, like I had the same exact experience, like out of the blue. I'm like, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? What's this all about? And I describe it to my sister. She says, oh yeah, I experienced that 2 days ago. I'm like, oh, now I'm starting to take that on, right? So like I
manifesting the symptoms. Yeah.
Like I'm like people I'm not even talking to, but I'm energetically connected to, right? Like we don't know what the heck is coming in. So that's why, realizing for people, I know it's a basic thing, but some people may not know, like, these sense of energy cords going out all over the place through our field. It's just like, just to cut those cords, and there's all different ways you can do it. Definitely the way you said is a great way to do it. And just cut those cords and, cleanse your energy, just to cleanse your energy.
Imagine in the shower. Shower's a good time, cleansing anything. So that it's washing away anyone else's thoughts, their experience. You can just goes down the plug hole.
It already is, cleansing your aura, right? They say so, which you can sense that, and then that's a perfect play. And then you're not preoccupied with other things and everything. So it's a good tip. Good tip. Good time. I don't actually do it there. When I do it, I usually do it in meditation, but that's another great place to do that. So that's a great tip.
Multitasking. Yeah. Cup of tea, good time to cut cords, in the toilet.
Any moment, right? Any moment you're okay, let's do it now.
That's right.
Cool.
Not my stuff to carry anymore.
As people start doing that, or they do deeper,
because part of the awakening journey, they are struggling usually at that point. So I think that's a good thing to do at that, because it is overloading, at that point when they're just awakening and everything feels too much. So as they progress, they're going to step more into being more of a student and looking for what things can help me. For me, cutting the cords was great, learning meditation, singing, dancing, salsa dancing, was my therapy there for a while. It really helped to shift out a lot of the trauma in my pelvis, moving, that was very, old ancestral stuff stuck in the base chakra, solar plexus, sacral. And salsa is a really interesting dance because you are moving your hips all the time. So that movement and the music really helped to shift out just stuck beliefs. So people might do tribal music, belly dancing, even just generally dancing. I think just helps to move, because some energies are really dense. So you can meditate, and that's like a passive way. But sometimes, you need to have more physical things like exercise or the dance or boxing, something that's a bit, got a bit more energy behind it. Because often anger is the one that, can be processed more easily through that, because it's hard to do that just with being happy and nice and calm. But I think through a physical movement, martial arts, all of that helps to really dissipate some of that trapped frustration of not being able to do what you want to do. You do martial arts, don't you? You're a black belt in something.
Lately it's just because of some of the physical stuff I run into with my back, so I still working on my back stuff, but it's an ongoing journey for me. But I was doing that kickboxing, all different things, but the kickboxing and everything. And I just remember going in there with a small group of people, and I get very intense with it, right? I just feel like, and then I begin, it's just a funny story I got to share real quick, just because it's fun. It's like I would get done with these classes, and class after class, I'd be so sweaty and be so, worn out and everything. And I'm looking around, some of the other people don't look that bad. I'm like, finally, I talked to my teacher, who's a friend of mine. I'm like, listen, what the heck's going on? Am I that bad of shape? Like, I get to the end and I'm like, all the sweat and worn out. Everybody else doesn't look that bad. Says, dude, you're like way more intense than everybody else. I'm like, oh, okay. I see. I'm actually, maybe it's a good thing. I'm bringing that energy through. So, it's funny. It's because people like us, we're not seen. One of our things we run into, like I have, and I feel you have too, as my guess, and other people are listening today, perhaps, like we're not usually perceived initially as very powerful. You're like, oh yeah, you're just that quiet one, nice person, everything.
Easily dismissed. Yeah,
yeah,
overlooked. Right. Yeah.
So, but then, like this with that teacher I had when he first just tried training me privately. We were doing like, okay, hit the mitts and stuff, and I like, okay, do this, boom, boom, okay. And he'd be like, wait a minute, dude, I told you, like, okay, slow it down. I told you go 50%. I says, that is my 50%. And he's like, whatever, all right, whatever. So we were doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And finally he's like, dude, I keep telling you 50%. I said, this is my 50%. It's like, all right, whatever, go full speed now. I'm like, okay, boom. And he's like, oh, okay, I get it. That is your 50%. People have such a, I think in a way it's beautiful in that we are seen probably as very safe, right? Like, oh, you're nice and safe and everything. Yet we're so potent and powerful in all these different ways, right? That just would surprise the heck out. And usually I find like a lot of us do have some of these weird, like powerful physical gifts too. Like we can lift like safes up or whatever, because we can channel the energy, right? We know everything's an illusion anyway. It's like, whatever, this is nothing, right? And sometimes it gets us in trouble too, maybe, but maybe that's part of the back stuff anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's taken me a long time to get through a lot of that. I'm sure there's always more layers, right? But gotten through a lot of that, like feeling like nobody takes me seriously as a man or as a powerful being. And that was a big one for me. So I feel like that's part of the healing journey has been my experience. Is that been your experience? And do you see that for the people you're helping as empaths and whatnot?
Totally. I think a lot of them, like you've got your back issue. I usually always still work on my immunity. As healers, we're never cured necessarily. So I think people get stuck with, oh, I should be fixed, or there's something wrong with me because I've still got this issue. We've all come with some weakness to keep working on because it's helping us to go deeper into whatever that is, the treasure that's hidden behind that there's more to uncover and crack open. So it's that constant journey and work in progress. So it's not that we're weak necessarily. There's something there that needs more tending to and more nurturing, because we're so potent, we're so deep that there's still more amazing parts of us that we haven't yet explored.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there's so much more we could get into. We've scratched the surface at least and really had an amazing conversation. I'd love for you to share, the more about where people could get your book, where there is a lot of more in-depth information, I imagine, as well, and other resources you have so people can connect with you more and go deeper with everything. So do you want to share that now?
Yeah, sure. My website is alkymia, alkymia.com.au. And my book, you can buy that from my website or from Amazon. There it is again. And I think the links, I've got a free gift there that you could access about accessing your sacred power that will help to develop more of your potency to help you move through any challenges. So because you need that dynamic energy to sort of harness that, so you've got more motivation to say, yes, I can do it. I want to move beyond my limits, and because you're breaking through that cocoon or that layer. So as you crack that open, more of your treasured amazing potential and brilliance comes through.
Mm-hmm. So definitely take advantage of all that. That we'll put again in the show notes, the Mystic Woman's Compass book. We'll put a link in. Obviously, you can look it up online. That's easy, right? But also you can go to Mystic Woman's Compass Facebook group. So you can look that up on Facebook if you're on there. And we're also putting in the notes, you have this, do you want to tell them briefly about this, Your Soul Power Blueprint?
Oh, yeah. So that's the free download that you can access, the video helping you just harness your potential, your soul power, so that you're moving through into your next potential for the next 6 months, so that you're not blocked into this old idea of who you are. It's breaking through your old identity and who you're meant to be for now.
Yeah, this really looks sincerely amazing, because this is helping you to connect with your soul power, your intuitive soul power, upgrade your abilities, uplift your purpose to a whole nother level, become unstoppable on your destined path. So, I don't know if you guys sense this too, but she's got all the tools. She's got everything that's going to help you to shift. She's done this with lots of people over all the decades, and she's definitely, if you feel that, then definitely take advantage of what she has to offer. So we'll put that in the notes as well. And so Mariangela, this is always such a pleasure. It's always feels like, we could go so much deeper. And, I keep saying to some of my guests, I'm like, we could do 2 or 3 hours. Maybe we should expand this show. So,
I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. Yeah, it was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And so glad to have you. And thank you to all of the audience listening in, everybody listening in. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Like I always say, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till the next time. Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.